let's talk about a few things. So I was thinking this morning, there's a lot of Christians, faith believers, people who say they believe in God, but a lot of times what they do when they get angry at somebody because somebody has done something wrong to them, or they feel as though somebody hasn't done right by them, and what they end up doing is, people who say they love the Lord, they end up being happy when bad things happen to that particular individual who they feel did them wrong. I was thinking about that this morning, and I said that's not what God wants us to do. When people wrong us, remember God says in His Word that we are to love our enemies. Now that's a hard thing to do, especially when your enemies have gotten that title, which means they did something to you that is deserving to call them an enemy of you. But why would God tell us to love our enemies? I think we have to go back to the verse where God says in His Word that vengeance is mine. Vengeance belongs to the Lord. And I believe the reason why God is telling us that is because He will take care of those who offend you, those who have done you wrong, those who have done some of the wildest things that you could probably imagine. I think the reason why God is telling us to continue to love them in spite of what they've done is because God says the vengeance is His. Too many times people try and applaud people when things fail or happen to them, but vengeance belongs to God. But the mistake that a lot of Christians do is they try and wish and pray for these mean things to happen to these individuals. And that's the mistake. When you get in your heart to pray for your enemies fall, that's when God is telling you you're moving outside of the line and will of God when He tells you to love your enemies. Now, see, God wants us to continue to stay in the right realm with Him, and that is in a loving space. Yes, God will take care of them, but it's not for you to cheer for their fall. See, God wants us to pray for our enemies and to love our enemies because God wants also for our enemies to turn around and do what is right, to ask for forgiveness from you and to seek forgiveness. And how can they do that when you're carrying around this anger and bitterness still in your heart for them to fall? I thought about some of the people that have wronged me, and I thought about some of the things that have happened to them. And I actually felt bad. And I actually felt sad. And I said, God, that's not what I want to happen to anybody. I don't want anybody who's done me wrong for them to have wrong happen to them. I don't want that, because I want for people to be able to understand what they've done wrong. They need to ask God for forgiveness and the individual that they've wronged. But also, I want them to be able to understand and know that God still loves us even when we wrong people, but He also wants us to do things right. Now, God is still going to have His vengeance on those that continue and refuse to understand the wrong that they've done and to stop doing the wrong that they've done. God still is going to have vengeance over them, over your enemies. But it's not for us to cheer for them when they fall. It's not for us to applaud their downfall. But our job is to ask God the same thing that Jesus said when He was on the cross. And that's this: forgive them, for they know not what they've done. We all have to take that stance. We all have to take that mindset. Because if we want to truly get into the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have to understand that when God is telling us to love, we need to love. And when He says vengeance is His, and we step in the way, we're stepping in the way of God's will. We don't want us to have that to happen to us. So continue to love your enemies. I know it's hard. I know there are some things that people have done to you that is just probably unimaginable. But God will take care of those who offend you. God will deliver you, and He will take care of those. But we have to let God do it in His way. Even if He never touches them in a harmful way that we feel should happen, God has his way of having vengeance on those who continue to do you wrong or who have done you wrong. But it's not for us to applaud them. It's for us to pray, just like Jesus did. Imagine all the wrong that they did to Jesus as they nailed him to the cross. And even before they nailed him to the cross, they mocked him. They made him walk with that cross on his back, that heavy burden, that walking through the crowds of the very people that knew him, the very people that were saying, you said you're the Son of God. Why can't you get out of this? They mocked him along the journey. The same people that he came to save were some of that same people that were mocking him. But Jesus had enough love in his heart to know the assignment that he came to this earth for was to save all. Not just a few select, but all. Even those that had wronged him. So that's why he muttered those very words. Father, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't know that what harm they're doing to me, you, Father, will have my vengeance. That's what Jesus was telling them. Jesus was telling God, Lord, I know all power and all might is in your hand. And I know right now you can smite them right now. You can take all of them out with just one stroke of your power. But Jesus said, I came to save them too. And I don't want you, Father, to take them out without an opportunity for me to help them to do things right. So that's why he cried, Father, forgive them. Father, forgive them. And we have to understand everything that's done, God's hand is in it. Even though it looks like, Lord, how could you allow me to go through this? How could you allow them to do that to me? We have an opportunity, you guys, to love in spite of. And though it may be hard, difficult, vengeance belongs to the Lord. But not for you to applaud it, but for you to pray that your enemies will come to an understanding and know and ask not only you for forgiveness, but ask the Father for forgiveness also. Let's go out here and do things right, you guys. I know a lot of you are hurting because of things that have happened to you, but trust and believe God's vengeance will overtake anything, and he does it in his way. So you can't ask God, take them out this way, smite them this way, and all that stuff, because it belongs to God. And remember, even though they've done you wrong, they are still God's children as well. Love your enemies, you guys, in spite of what they've done. Trust God and let God fight all your battles. Thank you for watching. See y'all later.